Hello, everybody. My name is Sebastian Rodriguez, and today we are going to talk about what's new in Microsoft 365 Copilot for the month of April. All right. First of all, if you want to review this update on your own device at your own time and click all the links, you can visit the QR code that I'm going to show here on screen. Just scan this with your device and you're good to go. All right. Having said that, let's start because this is a very large update and there's news for everybody. No matter what tool you're using, I'm sure there's a new feature from Copilot that you will definitely love. In the intro section, you have the general content that talks about basically Copilot being the new user interface for artificial intelligence. This means that Copilot is going to be the bridge for you to connect to whatever AI service is supporting your task. Remember that Microsoft is not in the LLM business. They will create a model or two, like for example 5.4 that was released a couple of weeks ago, but their business is not creating LLMs. Their business is integrating AI to make your life easier. Of course, there's a big section that talks about agents and reasoning. If you have not been paying attention to the news, the Copilot Frontier agents have been announced a couple of weeks ago, and they're going to be available soon, hopefully, where we will be able to experience features for reasoning, for sales agents, for planner agents, for project management agents, and for many other services that have been either announced or that might be announced in the future. So we are going to be reviewing what are those agents during the session, and we are going to talk a bit about the extended availability of Copilot Academy and new tools to measure the adoption and to track the insights in your organization, especially if you're not licensed for M365 Copilot yet and you're just using Copilot Chat. So let's start, all right? First of all, we have the updates to the M365 Copilot app. With this, there's a new shortcut. Here you can see it, Win key plus C on a Windows 11 device. This is not available yet on my machine, so I'm not able to demonstrate this. However, all the users are going to see this new interface in which, as you can see here, let me highlight it. The OneDrive section is going to be renamed Cert, and the Copilot section is going to be renamed Chat. This is in the M365 Copilot mobile app. This is not the Copilot app. This is the Microsoft 365 Copilot mobile app, all right? Remember that Microsoft 365 was renamed to Microsoft 365 Copilot, so that may still stir some confusion among some users, all right? What's next? Let's continue here. Now, there's a new user interface that's being released for Microsoft 365 Copilot, so let me zoom in a little bit here. And the main difference is that you will have all the agents on the left side of the screen. So you have, for example, chat. Here you have a couple of agents like analyst, researcher, sales, other agents that maybe you publish in Copilot Studio, in SharePoint, etc. But you will also have access to your chats and to your pages. Of course, you continue having access to your notebooks, to other apps, and the work and web toggle remains at the top in the middle of the screen. This should be deployed to customers worldwide, so please familiarize yourself with this new user interface and start submitting feedback if there's anything that you do not like. In case you're also using a Copilot Plus PC, you will be able to right-click content and use the Ask Copilot feature. But also, you can see this, for example, if I select the text here, I can select Ask Copilot, and this is going to open, in my case, the Copilot sidebar, showing some information about the text that I have here, a short explanation for me to understand what's going on. But this feature, which again has not been deployed into my account, so I'm not able to demonstrate on screen. But with this, the same thing that I'm doing right here, you will be able to do it on any text field, on images, or multiple items on your Windows 11 device. And this feature is called Click to Do. All right, basically, you are going to hold the Win key plus the left click, and with this, you will be able to launch this contextual menu that is going to be offering you different options depending on the specific item or the specific content that you are selecting. Another improvement, which again I'm not able to demonstrate on screen, is the people skills in Microsoft 365 Copilot. This is very important because right now we're not only needing to connect to other people based on, let's say, their job position or some maybe tasks that they're performing. Maybe you need someone with a specific skill who's better, let's say, at conflict resolution, who's better at delivering trainings, who's better at maybe creating documentation for the information we have in our organization, for prompt engineering, etc. And this people skill layer is going to be um, feeding multiple Microsoft experiences, as mentioned here, including Microsoft 365 Copilot, the skills agent, which is going to help you to connect to all of these people in your organization, Copilot Analytics, the profile card in M365, along the profile card editor, the Organization Explorer, the People Companion, and Viva Learn. So basically, all of these services that are touching more on the human side of Microsoft 365 are going to have access to this people skills layer. Moving on, if you're a fan of Copilot pages, maybe you're a fan of Loops since they share a lot of the same functionalities. If you're using Copilot pages, soon you will be able to send your Copilot page directly to Word. All right. You will see here that there's a chat. Here on the left side of the screen, you have the chat of the user with Copilot. On the right side of the screen, you have the Copilot page that was created alongside that. And here under the contextual menu, you have the opening Word option. All right. Once you do that, this is going to create the Word document, which you can modify it and basically accelerate the way you're generating information. Not only that, if you're accessing from a mobile phone, you will also have a new module for the Copilot pages where you can view, edit, and share your work on the go. All right. All of this is going to be rolling out in May, so expect it very, very soon on your device. Now, here we can see some additional screenshots that are showing how you can navigate inside your mobile device, and you can see the information, edit the content, share it, etc. Another cool feature, and this is something that the users from Notebook LM are going to really love, is the audio overview feature that is coming into Copilot. Just like in other AI solutions where you can basically submit information and use that information to generate a podcast style audio that is going to be discussing the topics, explaining it, etc., you will be able to generate something very, very similar with, of course, different options to suit your style. You can connect different topics, you can choose one or two speakers, you can adjust the styles, of course. So maybe you want something more serious, you want something more playful, as explained here. And this is not only going to be working inside Word, this is going to be integrated into OneDrive, Outlook, Teams, and Copilot notebooks as well. So we are going to have a much more engaging experience. And this is super useful for not only people who prefer to listen to audio, but also for accessibility. Let's say maybe you have a vision impairment or there's something else that prevents you from focusing on something. So all you need to do is open your document, select the Copilot menu, and from there you will be able to generate that podcast audio. Now, if you're in another application, let's say Teams, from the Meetup inside Teams, you will be able to select the audio overview tab. So this basically is going to take the transcript of the meeting. This is going to create this audio overview and is going to act as a summary telling you what's going on. In the case of OneDrive, you will be able to select a document inside OneDrive. Let me see if I can increase the screen size of the image here. As you can see, someone is selecting the document, is generating the audio from that. They're playing that audio here on the bottom right corner. And with that, you do not need to open the document. You can just play that summary. And this is super useful. Let's say you're just, maybe you're replying to your emails, but you want to hear about the summary about a proposal. Maybe you're trying to understand a new document, or you're just trying to, work on your ideas. But having this integrated straight into OneDrive with multiple documents supported is going to make this much easier and much more accessible without you having to jump through multiple tools like we need to do right now. For Outlook users, you can create something very similar where if you are on an email thread and that email has a linked document, you can select that document and also you can generate that audio output that is or that audio overview, sorry, that is going to explain the document. Now here they're specifically mentioned linked files, all right? Remember that Copilot requires your content to be stored in OneDrive or SharePoint in order to work. There's no mention of this working with attached documents inside your emails. So be wary of that because if you're still attaching documents instead of just sharing links to your libraries and other shared spaces, you're not going to be able to enjoy this feature, at least not at the beginning. This is going to start rolling out to English speaking customers in the month of May. Finally, for Copilot notebooks, you will also have the option to generate the audio overview, and this is going to be located at the top of the page. So as you can see here, we are at notebooks, and here you can click the audio overview, and that is going to generate this podcast style discussion with references, insights, and other pieces of key information that you may need. Another cool feature, and this is something I'm not able to show because I handle a lot of sensitive information, is this uh, prioritize my inbox. So when you set up this feature, Copilot is going to ask you in natural language what are the contents that you want to mark with this icon, which is a blue circle with an upwards arrow. So in my case, basically, I told Copilot, hey, uh, anything that comes with from my manager or from some key stakeholders that I'm constantly engaging with, all of that I want Copilot to consider it as a priority message. And for me now, it's super easier to continue to be on top of my messages because at least personally, I'm not very good creating Outlook rules. I mean, I know how to create them and all of that, but I don't like having a mailbox that has a lot of rules because it leaves a lot of room for human error. With this, you just share your thoughts. Again, all of this in natural language. And if you need to increase or reduce the scope of whatever you're marking as a priority, you can always modify this on the settings. Moving on, this is another cool feature for when you need to upload images to the prompts that you're using. Personally, I have the Copilot app in my phone, so sometimes I need to share an image inside the chat that I'm having. And instead of emailing the image to myself, I have to open the app in my phone, upload the image so I can continue the conversation, and then I return to my desktop browser so I can resume from there. It's not ideal. For me, it works better than sending an email, downloading the image, and uploading the image. But with this new feature, all you need to do is select upload from phone. This is going to show you a QR code, and from that QR code, you are able to upload the content. This is going to work in multiple experiences. Like mentioned here, this is going to work in Word, Excel, or PowerPoint spaces. So all of that is going to be compatible with this feature. All right. As said here, once uploaded, this image is going to be appearing in the Copilot chat, and you will be able to ask Copilot to extract information, process the text, summarize the information, or basically use whatever you're uploading as the initial building block for whatever output you're trying to generate. This feature started rolling out in April to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint on Windows desktop and the web. So if you're a Mac user, you will need to wait a little bit to experience that. Now, for multilingual organizations, which is an organization I work in, there's also a new feature for multilingual meetings. This means that if you, as the meeting organizer, enable the multilingual meeting settings, this means that every participant is going to experience that meeting in their local language, regardless of the languages that we are speaking. All right. This started rolling out in April, and this will ensure that basically the users are not distracted trying to translate the information, especially let's say if it's a language that you do not dominate or you do not consider yourself proficient in. All of the details for these specific features you can review in all of these links, which again, you can scan the QR code, and this is going to take you to this blog post. Additionally to that, with Copilot, inside the Teams meetings, we will be able to analyze the screen that has been shared as well. I have tested this feature and it's amazing because sometimes, or maybe lots of times, there's a conversation going on in the meeting, you're showing things on screen, but if nobody is taking notes, people forget because there's quote unquote no record of that. With this, you can prompt Copilot, and Copilot will analyze the whole recording and is going to tell you, hey, at this minute, this was shared, this was discussed, etc., for you to be able to find that information much quicker. Back to Word, this the Word team has expanded the capabilities of Copilot inside Word. There's a lot of news. So the first one and the most important for me is being able now to reference an entire folder for your documents. And this folder can contain up to 20 individual files. All right. Those files can sum up no more than 1.5 million words, which is about 3,000 pages, which means that, unless you're doing, let's say, maybe some legal studies, maybe you're trying to compare books, things like that, that could be an edge case. But if you want to build a business proposal, if you want to, let's say, compare, analyze multiple documents, maybe you're trying to, write a document for your stakeholders, you're trying to make announcements, you're trying to build a strategy, things like that. Now it's much easier because you're not constrained to only 3 documents like we previously were. And with this, let's say you can put all your technical documentation, you can put procedures. If you're, let's say, a contractor for the government, and you're trying to, create your proposals, etc., all of that technical definitions with the details, the requirements, the how my customer wants the information, and all of that, you can prompt it from a single place. Other features that are coming into Word, which I'm just going to go over here, is that during April, you will have access to the Summary tab inside Word for the web, Windows and Mac, Insights tab for the web, and during May, June, and July, we will have new features like Activity and Discussion, the Coaching tab, the Insights tab, and finally the discussion tab. All right. I'm just going to play back this video because it explains it much better than I can. So let's hit play. And give me 1 second here. It's loading.
I now have access to a new
So
dynamic
as you can
document
see, when
snapshot.
people run this
This allows
command,
me to see a
you
summary of the
can do more.
document, even
And
a
it
detailed
just
summary
basically
for very
includes
long documents.
if it's a short document or a long document, maybe you need
I
to
get
know more of those
insights like
details.
key numbers and
You can get
possible
the insights,
takeaways, helping
like
me
for
quickly
example, here we
understand
have
essential
numbers,
information.
takeaways, so you
There's
can
an
understand
overview
the
of recent
context of the
activity,
document.
like comments
You
and
can see the
edits, so I
activity,
can
which
see
is
the
super
highlights of
useful if you're
changes that were made.
collaborating
There are
with multiple
sources for where
people
the
to
information came
understand
from,
who is
and
doing
I can
what
go
in
directly
which
to that part
section
of the document.
of the document.
I can see an
You also
overview of
have the
discussions,
discussion
so
section,
it's easy to catch
which
up
is
on
going to
documents where
summarize all
collaborators
the
have shared their
comments and
thoughts.
everything
And
that's
there's
going to
coaching to
be
help make the
there at the
document
ending
better,
of the
with
document.
suggestions on
And
tone,
finally, the coaching,
structure,
which is
and
going to
content.
explain what are the things that you could do better to improve that output. Again, all of this is going to be launched between April and August of this year. So if you're a Word Power user, I think you're going to find at least one or two features here that are going to be super useful to you. All right, let's move on here. There's also another feature where, sorry, you can auto fix your grammar mistakes or your redaction mistakes. So anything that's related with spelling and grammar, you can auto fix, and this is going to improve your redaction. Personally, I struggle a lot with communicating in a business approved way, in a formal way, because I'm very crass, blunt, and direct, so that plays against me. And a feature like this is extremely useful because it saves you all the time of basically copying your text, going into Copilot, asking Copilot to improve it, and then returning, or just right clicking and writing custom prompts. Just one action, and you can get a quick correction. For Excel users, there's also new improvements where you have more capability for pivot tables and for document analysis. All right. This What does this mean, right? This means that as you can see here, let me increase the size of this. You can ask Copilot to create charts directly out of a table, and you're going to get a result. Right now, with the current features, you can get, let's say, a table analysis. Maybe you can create formulas, but being able to obtain the right graph with the right indicators, at least for me, who uh, is a very novice Excel user, is extremely useful because you save a lot of time, trying to understand how to build a graph, and you just focus on, hey, how do I show the insights that I really want to show to my audience? Another cool feature is that you will be able to basically describe what you want to create. In this case, they're asking for a table to track specific insights, but you can even also ask to include sample data into this table, so that way you can understand the structure and basically work with this in a better way. Especially if you're, let's say, heavy into prototyping, providing proposals, things like that, this is going to be a big time saver. For PowerPoint, we have an expansion on the designer feature where you will be able to create the slides based on the Word document directly on the canvas, but also you will be able to create, or more than create, apply the design styles selected from designer. But once you select, sorry, the style, this is going to be consistent across your entire presentation. One of the key issues when using the designer feature in PowerPoint, at least previously, was that achieving consistency was very difficult, and you could get uh, dramatically opposite design styles for whatever you're creating. Being able to achieve consistency in a professional and short way is key in this scenario for you to be able to draft your documents much faster and focus on the content rather than focusing on the design. Also, same thing here. This is something that has been expanded where you create when you create a presentation. Sorry, now you will be able to select the design before you're creating the presentation with the option of browsing your organization library, meaning that you can provide the content, you can provide your reference documents, and you can specify which specific template you need for that. Let's say you're working for a holding with multiple companies, or maybe your organization has templates for public and private information, maybe something is more sensitive, things like that. Being able to use your organization library is going to solve a lot of issues that relate to creating presentations with a consistent design approach. If you struggle with this, I highly suggest you start testing this feature as soon as it releases during May. Let's continue here. Well, other small updates are that you can select new visualizing or visualization options. So as you can see in the example, the user is selecting the text and is just asking Copilot to display this as a list, which is going to save some time. And also, Copilot is going to create automatic summaries of your presentations. Just like you can create the audio summaries, this is going to tell you immediately what the presentation is about. And if you think that the summary is not right, that might be an indicator that content in your presentation needs to be reworked. For SharePoint users, if you're not aware of Copilot agents inside SharePoint, they're agents that can interact with all or some of the content inside your SharePoint site. It will all depend on your permissions and your settings, like everything else in Microsoft 365. But a very cool feature is that, let's say you're talking with a specific agent inside Copilot, and you can just mention another user using your ad and the username, and that is going to start a group chat for you to be able to talk with this agent and that other user. This is very useful when you're having, let's say, coaching agents, or maybe you have an agent that's providing Q&A about your internal procedures. Maybe you're discussing something with a coworker, you're trying to find a middle ground. So being able to just summon an agent to have a discussion with someone else and review the same results is going to reduce a lot of errors and prevent a lot of communications that usually are just a back and forth to get very basic data. For project managers and for any planner user, we will have this new agent called the project manager agent. And this project manager agent is going to be a Swiss army basically for any PMO office, because this is going to generate, view, modify, and share reports based on your project progress. All right. So as long as you have a structure in your planner, however you want to set it up, this is going to take that information and is going to create this summary inside a page. Now, for adoption and for tracking insights, in the past, if your organization had Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses, you had access to the Copilot adoption dashboard. And if you had more than 50 licensed users, you had access to in-depth analysis, like in which applications are they using Copilot, where are they spending more time, etc. Now, this has been expanded, all right? And you will be able to see other metrics, like, for example, how many Copilot Studio custom agents are being created inside your organization, how many of them are being published outside of Copilot, because remember that your Copilot agents can be published in Teams, in the web, in other applications, etc. And you will also see other KPIs like the employee sessions, satisfaction score, resolution rates, and the business impact. All of these became available in preview during the month of April, but it's going to be rolling out in June. So if this is not yet in your organization, after June, you should be able to expect it. Now, for the people who are not licensed for Copilot, which was a major discussion point when maybe you're trying to explore which users really need a Microsoft 365 paid license versus the users that do not, this new AI adoption score is going to show advanced information. All right. This is going to tell you basically how they're using Copilot Chat, where are they using it, and let me see if I can increase the size of the screenshots. Unfortunately not, I'm sorry for this. But this is going to, as it says here, help the AI admins and the adoption managers to understand how Copilot Chat is being adopted in the organization, all right? Hey, who doesn't have a Microsoft 365 Copilot license, but who is being active in in, in Microsoft, in Copilot Chat. So with this, you will be able to make better and informed decisions. All of these details, again, you can check on the linked announcements. They will, in this case, this is taking you straight to the roadmap. So if you open this in a new tab, here you will see all the information, the expected release date, and all of that. And to finish this session, we have an expanded availability of Copilot Academy. So all the people who had access to this in the past needed to have Copilot licenses. Now this has been expanded and you can select which users have and do not have access to this feature. Now, people might be saying, why would you want to restrict access to Copilot Academy if everybody can learn? And that's mainly for, let's say, organizations where you don't want to perform a big bang. Maybe you're rolling out in stages. Maybe you're just deploying AI for your senior management, so you don't want to expose everyone to the content because maybe licensing for all your organization might be outside your current budget or whatever reason you might have. And if you need to check how to work with this, or if you want to consume this, you can go to aka.ms/Copilot Academy. And this is going to take you into Viva Learning, where you can start your Copilot training journey. Now, again, these are many new features. I'm still waiting to test half of them. Some of them I have been able to test them in my tenant. However, remember that all of these features are being updated weekly, monthly, or even daily. So remember to check back your Microsoft 365 news sources. Always check the M365 roadmap, and whatever question you have, please drop it in the comments so we can understand in which areas or what contents would you like to focus best. Thank you for your time and see you next time. Bye bye.